there are so many terrible companies out there who do not care about respecting their customers' time or wallets. They just figure, we have fans. They'll shut up, consume product, and move on to the next. But that doesn't really happen a lot anymore. Gamers are very critical of products months to even years before release. And if it launches and it's buggy and broken, people will ask for refunds. And now Borderlands 4 is going through some major problems because it launched to mostly negative reviews on Steam thanks to widespread performance problems and crashes. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and support via Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, of course, we all knew that Borderlands 4 was going to launch to some pretty serious problems given Randy Pitchford had said, oh, the day one patch is going to be amazing, it's going to fix so much, but don't expect it to work miracles on older hardware. So we knew that there were going to be problems. They were already damage controlling days and days ago, and now that it's finally out, we can see it is nowhere close to being perfect. I do not think that companies should be releasing games that are not done. They needed like another year worth of development to get this game to run properly, and therefore they shouldn't be able to launch titles like this. And what makes it even worse is that for days, the critics had been giving it near perfect scores. They were giving it 8s and 9s and saying it was so amazing, and almost none of the reviews that I personally came across mentioned performance problems. So either they're getting a different version of the game with a different type of patch, or they don't really care about performance problems and they're so worried about shilling for these studios that they figure, we'll look past them because they're promising that day one patches are going to be good and make the game run significantly better. So we're not going to include that in our reviews, which is complete and utter BS. So Borderlands 4 came out yesterday, and it's been very well received critically, at least by those sites who received pre-release codes, a list that does not include PC Gamer. I think it's so funny. They start out their article with complaining that they didn't get handpicked by Gearbox to review Borderlands 4 early. It's so funny to me that they're complaining. It's a different situation over on Steam, however, where a whole lot of people are playing Borderlands 4, but the overall user rating is an ugly, mostly negative. Now, it has gone between a mostly negative and a mixed. There are a lot of people who are saying, oh, it's ran perfectly fine for me. I'm so happy, so glad that this finally came out, but there are a lot of problems, even if it goes into the mixed territory. It shouldn't be mixed. It should be near perfect scores for a game that's been in development so long and had so much money put behind it. The problem, going by hundreds of user reviews that have already been posted, is almost entirely related to the performance. Yeah, because people haven't even gotten hours into the game to the point where they can really judge the story because the game keeps crashing for them. Multiple Steam users report low frame rates and persistent stuttering, even at reduced graphical settings and on powerful hardware, and complaints about frequent crashes are also common. Terrible, terrible performance, worst I've ever seen, somebody wrote. Turned it down to low graphic presets and couldn't hit 60 FPS even with FSR upscaling on my RX 6900 XT. Now, I think it is completely unacceptable. The game's release in this terrible state, and developers feel that they can ask $70, $110, or $130, depending on which edition you end up buying. That is absolutely a slap in the face to customers. And this shouldn't be the norm. And luckily, there are so many people out there who do not pre-order games anymore, who withhold their funds until they know somebody on YouTube or Twitch that they like has played it and reviewed it and said it doesn't have any problems, or they think that it's a good game. And that's what's so wonderful about there being so many content creators online now, is the fact that you can get a full opinion by somebody you would generally trust instead of the access media who does lie and show for these companies. But it should not be releasing in such a terrible state. No game should, and we have seen this becoming a very persistent problem. It is a combination of Unreal Engine 5, developers not knowing how to create games with it, and developers just generally not being talented at all whatsoever. Diversity hires don't go to school, they're not veterans in this industry, they're not passionate, and they're not talented, that's for sure. We have seen issues with games like Monster Hunter Wilds, which had came out, faced massive problems, and their big patch, which was supposed to fix the game, ended up breaking it in 5 other ways, which was terrible. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater's performance struggled on release just a few weeks ago compared to MGS2 on the PlayStation 2. Lost Soulacide, which was a new game a lot of people were kind of excited for, came out and the developers had to acknowledge the performance issues, assured players it was actively working on optimizations. And even Gears of War Reloaded, which came out again a couple of weeks ago on August 27th, there were articles on how to potentially fix performance issues on PC. This shouldn't be the norm. You shouldn't be buying a full priced video game and then you have to Google how to fix this game or how to make this game run. That's terrible. If we head on over to Steam, as you can see, there are thousands of reviews now, some that are positive, right? But also a lot that are negative. I have a 5080 and this game runs like shit. 30 FPS cutscenes and they stutter. Is this a joke? Refunded, unoptimized, and horrible. Already refunded as it doesn't run beyond 20 to 30 FPS. None of my friends can get the game to start past the main menu. When you quit and restart, it doesn't close the original instance and it still uses full memory. It doesn't matter how good the game is. AAA devs deserve low reviews on their games until they learn to release working titles. Indie devs release working games, but multi-million-dollar companies can't. Absolutely pathetic. Here is a really phenomenal review. Stutterlands 4 review, an unholy trio of pricing UE5 and de novo. The stutters are constant, the crashes are brutal, and it feels like the game fights you harder than the bosses do. Every firefight turns into a slideshow. Every new area feels like a gamble whether the game will hold together or not. For a series built on fast, frantic chaos, it's painful when the biggest challenge is just keeping the game from breaking. Unreal Engine 5 looks pretty, but plays ugly. Pricing feels like a joke we're not in on. There's a $130 Super Deluxe Edition. Come on, for a game this unstable, it feels like paying premium for early access to a beta test. Randy Pitchford's comments about real fans supporting the price was honestly insulting. Fans aren't ATMs. We want to support the game, not bankroll optimization patches. Whew. It is so true. It's insane how devs keep shipping games with game-breaking bugs like it's normal. They are still saying there is a bit that's good, right? Like the gunplay is extremely addicting. Some of the new mechanics have real potential to take the series forward, but the tragedy is the fact that it just doesn't run well. And I definitely see why this is going to be so sad for so many people now. I used to really love Borderlands in the 1 and 2 days. It is a series that really fell off for me. I was not a fan of 3 at all whatsoever, and I was still willing to give Borderlands 4 a chance. Of course, I'm a content creator, right? But as a previous fan of this series, I was thinking maybe this won't be half bad, but even if there is a decent game here, there are people who are not able to even run it, and it is just completely unacceptable that companies keep shipping trash. They keep shipping games that are buggy and that are broken and that do not even run for a lot of people, and maybe over the next couple of weeks they will fix it up. Maybe things will become magically wonderful and some of these patches will completely change the performance and the experience, but it shouldn't have launched this way, and they deserve all of the backlash they're facing. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on the situation, but right now it is not looking good for Borderlands fans. It is not looking good for gamers who were excited for this, and unfortunately it is another AAA game that launched with massive problems. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this and found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.